Sisters and brothers, but mostly sisters, because most of the time, if you split up from your boyfriend or husband, y'all got the children. So I'm not putting all the responsibility on the sisters, but most of the time, if there's a split, most of the time the sisters have the children, and they're bringing these monsters into the home. I've heard stories of women just leaving their children with these men. Hell, I dated a sister before, here in Pennsylvania, and within 2 weeks, I remember I was dating her, and she gave me a key to her apartment and everything. And we were just sitting there chilling on a Friday night. Phone rings. You can tell when it's their girlfriends on the phone. I thought the girlfriends was going to come over, and I was just going to go in the room and, let them do their thing. She comes in the room and says, mind you, she had an 8-year-old daughter. I just met her 2 weeks ago. That's when I was, doing my thing. She comes in the room and says, Sharif, do you mind if I go out? I said, well, where are you going? She said, I'm just going out for a few hours. And I'm like, okay. I'm thinking that she's going to take the daughter somewhere. She left the daughter there with me and went out. Ain't come back to 2, 3 in the morning. She ain't know me. How you know me? And you just met me 2 weeks ago. Luckily, I am who I am. I'm not sick like that. But that's what I'm talking about. She ain't know who I was. And she left her daughter unprotected with me. Only known me 2 weeks. I could have did anything, and she did it several times. I'm saying to myself, like, I could be some kind of child molester or something. Got to protect our children. And this happens on a daily basis. Leaving our children unprotected with these monsters. And then this stuff happens. And then they are more susceptible to substance abuse, mental problems, family dysfunction. Because of sexual abuse. Because some nut, some maniac, someone that don't know how to control their desires, thinks it's okay to rub, molest, and grind, and finger, and penetrate a 6, 7, 8-year-old child, boy or girl. Where is the safe sanctuary for our children? And we wonder why. But we have to protect them at all costs. Family members and close friends of the family are doing this, and we can't totally blame this on the white man. Did he introduce this sick behavior to us? He most certainly did by his own admission. Goodbye, Uncle Tom. The real deal would happen on the slave plantations with the sex farms and the breeding farms, where grandfathers and fathers were forced to have sex with their own granddaughters and grandsons and daughters and nieces and nephews. What I believe started the sick behavior of sexual abuse in our community. I believe that's the origin of it. But we are responsible now for ravaging our own family. This is sick, and it has to stop because it's destroying our girls and our boys and ultimately our families. And what's even sicker is how our families, I've seen it myself, protect the perpetrators of these crimes, of these atrocities, and it's at biblical proportion. They get protected. I've seen one statistic that an average sexual abuser has anywhere between 30 to 45 victims. That number is probably skewed. Meaning those who sexually abuse children, they probably have anywhere between 30 and 45 other children who they sexually abuse. You're not going to convince me that when Uncle Leroy, who is sick out of his mind, he's rubbing on his niece or his nephew, that was the first time he did that. I don't believe that. No different with any other crime. Someone gets caught for robbing a bank, that probably ain't the first bank that they robbed. You catch someone stealing in the store, no matter what it is, that probably ain't the first time they stole. It's just the first time they got caught. And with people like this that are sick like this, they don't stop. Someone has to stop them, which means us. They have to be stopped in their tracks. They are sick, and they're ruining families. You go to any dysfunctional black family, I bet you if you do the research, sexual abuse is probably at the root of it. Peace, sis. How you doing? I'm so upset because, like I said, I've seen it myself. I'm, quote unquote, a victim of it myself. I just don't think it traumatized me because it was glorified from the few people that I told. This grown behind girl who my parents trusted was doing all kind of freaky stuff with me. And I was maybe 8, 9 years old, and she was easily 16, 17 years old. And she was doing all kind of stuff with me. But my parents weren't watching. They weren't paying attention. And then at the daycare that I told you about, it wasn't a daycare, it was at someone's house. This grown behind man, 17, 18 years old, ravaging his own nieces and cousins. And I witnessed it, forcing them, giving him oral sex. And if it wasn't for my dad being in the Nation of Islam and him being scared of my dad, he probably would have did it to me too. Because why did he always want me watching? Just a sick bastard. This is Brother Sharif with the Hour of Power. Go to Hour of Power, Sharif Hamid on YouTube.